All right. It's a new show. It's a new idea. It's a new beat. Fixing your metrics. Fixing your Agile metrics. I'm Ryan Ripley. This is Todd Miller over there. Will Seele down there. What are we here to do, guys?
Besides listen to sweet beats.
I know, that was pretty sweet. I think what we're trying to do here is really dig into the topic of Agile metrics. This is a big topic, lots of misconceptions. And I think for this first video in this series, Todd and I have reached out to a good friend of ours, Will Seele. He's a fellow professional Scrum trainer, a fellow pro Kanban trainer. He teaches a lot of great stuff in the Netherlands. This is really a big part of his life's work. He does a lot of work with EBM and really digging into companies and has applied a lot of these things. So we brought Will in to help us with the conversation about metrics in your organization. I think for this first one, we want to frame it correctly, frame it appropriately. And that I think we really just want to chat about the promise of agility, right? If we think about that end goal, if we can look at the end post, then we can start working backwards and think about the metrics that help us get there, right? Is that a pretty good framing there, Todd and Will?
I think it's a great framing. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, Will, welcome.
I might have a statement. I'm sorry. If we're ready to kick it off, I have a
it.
statement that I think could get Will fired up.
Okay.
And if we can get Will fired up during some of these episodes, people will really be pumped up about getting Will fired up.
Well, and then I have to go in and put like the bleep outs.
Yeah.
I'll try to behave. We'll keep it.
So, Will, what do you think when I tell you that that just because you're adopting Agile, it doesn't magically give developers the ability to type or think faster? What do you think about that?
Oh, God, no. Adopting agility I'm not even sure what the statement means.
Yeah.
In a semantic way.
For me, let me, we're kind of teeing up this thing. Like the words are kind of weird, right? Mm-hmm. For me, agility has always meant, and this might be different for everybody, creating an environment and the opportunity to make new and better decisions over and over and over again. Kind of like the Doppler radar in a weather system, right? We have these models, we have data, the arm keeps swooping, and when new things pop up, we make new decisions. I thought I needed an umbrella today. Turns out I don't. Now we can go to the beach, right? And that creates it creates transparency, inspection, and adaptation. I mean, am I off on this? Is that a weird definition?
Oh, no. I think you're right on the money there. I think where a lot of people go wrong is they see adopting agility or implementing agility as providing a solution to a lot of things, whereas what it really does for you is it just shows you very well what's going on, where your challenges are, and how good you are at solving them, right? By repeatedly getting into this empirical cycle of making things transparent and forcing you to inspect and adapt as you go along.
So Will, I think that was important. Say those things again, the three things that agility should bring forward.
Empiricism, right?
Oh, right.
It makes things transparent. It forces you to confront what organization you're in terms of people, in terms of process, in terms of technology. And through that, you can inspect how you're doing on all those things. And because it's been made visible to you, and because you're able to inspect those things, agility is the ability to then very quickly experiment with possible ways to improve and see what the efficacy of those things is.
It's interesting in hearing you define that, well, because earlier, I said adopting agility. And so what I quick Googled the definition of adopt, just so we could talk, very straightforward, talk these semantic issues, these things that we choose to hear all over the place and then just throw out of our mouths. Adopt is to choose, to take up, follow, or use. So I think you can choose to take an agile approach or an agile mentality, but can you really take up, follow, and use it?
Maybe, if you're willing.
If you're willing, yeah. And so maybe we should center it then in all these things, because I think that, the episode's the promise of agility. We're here to talk about metrics. How are metrics then enabling or hindering people's ability to do this?
Well, metrics have an interesting effect on people, right? It's forcing you to turn a feeling into something measurable, right? How busy are we really? How good is this company really doing? How quick are we really to respond?
Is being busy actually valuable? How about that? I mean, we can answer questions like that, right?
Exactly. So that's one part of it, right? It makes things transparent. On the other hand, though, and anyone that's been in business or politics long enough can tell you, is you can also horribly misuse metrics, right? By presenting them in a different light, or picking and choosing kind of what you want out of a data set, or what to measure. I was in a conversation earlier today with a client of mine who said they were the world's third largest company in a certain branch of business, and I looked it up, and they were the fifth largest in terms of revenue, but they said no, we're the third largest in terms of shipped product. Right? Except they didn't say the latter thing, and I just assumed they were talking revenue. So this is kind of where metrics turn into this either very helpful thing or very, very political thing.
Here's an interesting take on this for the three of us. What if the success of this episode we gauged by us having spoken an equal amount of words?
Okay, Ryan, the rest of the episode is yours.
Yeah, it's a metric, but it's a terrible one that tells us very little, right?
It doesn't tell us anything. Yeah.
It might tell us that, Todd talks too much. Well, we knew that. I mean, we have your daily Scrum show that tells us that. I mean, yeah, it's a worthless metric, but it's something. I don't think it's any different than counting up our story points.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Who had the most story points this week? Who cares? How much value did we deliver? Well, why do you care about that? Well, that enables, and I think that's the larger discussion, right? Why do we care about that? A common question that I would ask around these metrics and the promise of agility is, what new decision is enabled or different based on this metric we're tracking? And when people can't answer that question, I'm no longer interested in the metric. Yeah. Right? If it's not going to lead to a new decision, a new outcome, a new possibility, and I think this leads into, we're already going long. Maybe this is long enough for this one, but I think it leads into the habits and attitudes and perceptions and ideas that we need to have as we build these metrics programs, as we set the end goals, and as we really work through EBM and some other frameworks for metrics. And I think that's what this series will be about. And so this is kind of an intro to what we're going to be working through. We hope this episode is interesting. Should we continue? Right? In the comments below, let us know, is this a valuable topic? Is this going to bring value to your practice? Do you want to hear the thoughts about, the promises of agility, measuring whether we're getting that promise through metrics, how to manage through that? And if that's interesting, let us know in the comments. All right. Todd, Will, anything to add before we close off episode 1?
No, I think you got right on the money there. Let's look at the metrics provided by our viewers to see if we should continue this experiment.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah. And not the number of words spoken.
We're not going to track the number of words, but we'd love for you to take a look at our socials. Check out the videos that we provided below. They're nice links to other assets and ideas that we have here at the Agile for Humans YouTube channel. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. We drop a lot of content. Craft Brewed Agile, Your Daily Scrum, Agile for Humans, Scrum Guide 2020, Fixing Your Agile Metrics, Fixing Your Kanban with Dan Vicanti. We've got a lot of things going on. You don't want to miss a single one of them. Like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you think. What do you want to see as part of Fixing Your Agile Metrics? And we'll see if we can incorporate those in the show. Leave your questions as well. We love questions. And perhaps, depending on the data, we'll see you next time.